Okay guys, so we're going to look at supporting you in making your first game object. We're inside Maya and we're going to create, first thing we're going to do is create a brand spanking new project. So we're going to open up the project window and I'm going to create a new project. This one's going to be called Ammo Crate. And I'm just going to stick this in my default projects folder and leave everything default and click accept. Now that's done, we're working within Maya's views, and before we've used the polygon views, and I've got the tool settings up at the same time, so I've left these up, and you can go ahead and create some of these things before you even start. So just make sure that we've got UVs created from the start, and we'll get into UVs a little bit later in this. So I'm going to start by just having a look and deciding where I'm going to place my first drawing. So I'm going to go to my orthographic views, hold down the X key, which turns on, if you can see, X turns on the grid snapping, and I'm just going to grid snap down 4 by 4 and then up 4 by 4, and we're done. Here's our first box. So we're going to create an ammo box for just maybe a sort of war game type thing. Okay, the next thing we want to do is give this ammo box a little bit more detail than we've currently got. So what I'm going to do is go to face mode by holding down the right mouse button, clicking face, drag selecting over everything, and then I'm going to go to the extrude button, click on extrude, and I'm going to open up the extrude inputs in the channel box and make sure that I've got the keep faces together turned off. I can either type off or I can put a 0 in there, and then I'm going to change the offset. So as I change the offset on here to around about 0.25 to be precise, I've now created a little indentation on the ammo crate that I'm going to use. Next thing I want to do is just select the faces. I'm going to go to shaded mode. This is using OpenGL shading. This is just going to colour in all those faces based on where the camera is and where the world light is. So if I'm all selected, I'm going to press the extrude button again. This time I'm just going to move the actual face back against its surface normal, just to create a little indentation. Okay, so there we have it. There's our ammo crate, and we have 108 triangles. So that's not bad. It's a good look. Okay, so what I want to do now is have a look at some images. So here we've got some images on the desktop. Just pop them in there. Open them all up so we can see them all. And these are off of a website that just borrowed them off the website. And this has just got some images on there. And I'm going to use these images as the basis for the ammo crate itself. Okay, so to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to need to use the UV maps now. Let's bring this back up. Now if we add a material to this object, so we'll go to our hypershade and perspective. I'm just going to close the tool settings down. You can see that we have a choice of material types. We have shiny blends and fongs and the dull lamberts, and it's a lambert that we're going to use first. So we've got a lambert already on there, but we're going to create a new one. I'm going to double click on this and call this our crate side 1. Okay, and then in the color channel just down here, we're going to just change this to, let's say, a purple color. Alright, now we're going to choose the faces we want to be purple. I want to choose all these faces in here, not the inside ones, just those ones. And then I'm going to drag with the middle mouse and drop them onto there. So you can see we've got a difference in colour between those two face textures. Okay, so that's good for creating a solid colour, but what if we want to create an image on there? Well, let's go to the colour settings and let's open up the plug at the other side. This will bring up a little render node option, and we want to plug a file into this. So we're going to click on File. This now turns back to grey. We need to turn on the textured option for the OpenGL shading. There we go. And we're going to go choose the file. and the file is on the desktop. So I just go onto the desktop, and I'm just going to choose ammo1 and click open. And there we go. And it looks terrible. And the reason it looks terrible is because of the UV map that is being projected onto this crate. So let's go find, with the panels window, and go down to panel, the UV texture editor. Let's select one of these faces, and you can see when we select one of these faces, this face is down here. And what we want is, we want this face to be all over here. Now, if we select the UVs in this window and use the move tool, as you can see, it starts to drag around. We don't want to do that. What we want to do is select the faces that we initially selected, those 5 faces, and as you can see, because it was extruded out, those faces don't have any resemblance to what's going on in here. And we're going to go to create UVs up on the top, open up the little option box at the side, and we're going to choose the best plane we can, and the best plane we can is down this X, this red arrow, so it's X-axis. And we're going to click apply. There we go. And as you can see, what we've got now is we've got the ammo crate looking just as it should down that center aisle. Okay, so I want to turn this round. I want to select these faces at the back using shift, and the final face, and that's this face here. And I'm going to use the same UV, just going to hit UV, create UV again, and then I'm going to go back. In fact, I'm going to right mouse click and assign the existing material, create side 1, to that material. There we go. So we've got two sets of polygon projections using the same material type. Excellent. Okay, so the next one we're going to do, let's have a look, is this one. So we'll do this one, and this one's in the middle here, and we need to use a different arrow. So this one's using the blue arrow, which is the Z depth. So we'll open up the UVs, choose Z, click apply, and for this one we want to use a different material. So if we were to change the image in here, double click on this image and we change this image, what would happen is the image changes on the actual textures we've already got, and we don't want that to happen. So let's undo that. Let's use a new material. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this material in here, go to edit inside the material node and click duplicate shading network. There we go. And this will duplicate the whole network that went into that shading network. And it will have called it, hopefully, create side 2, because it's using a numeric folder structure. So we'll double click on this image, change this one to ammo crate 2. Nothing changed because we haven't applied this one yet. And let's go back to this texture, this side that we need to use, and right mouse click on this texture and apply the material to the selection. There you go. So that's excellent. So we've got the new shader on the side. Let's apply it to this side as well. Middle mouse drag it if we want, and we need to create the UV map for that, so we'll planar map that one. There we go, and there we are. We've got that in the right place. Now what if we wanted to flip this over? If we needed this arrow to be going the opposite way, so we've got it going that way, we don't want it going that way as well because it looks too much like somebody was thinking about what they were doing when they were making this crate. So what we could do is go back to the panel into the UV texture node, and where we've got these UVs, just drag select over them while they're still selected as faces, and then just click the mirror flip UV direction tool, and there you go. You've flipped it over, and we've got more of a uniform side going on. Okay, so on the top, what we want on the bottom, let's just bring this bottom one in. Well, this one's going to be using the Y direction, so let's use planar mapping Y. Click apply. And let's create a new material. So we can shader side 2, we can select this material, go into duplicate shading network, so we get create side 3. Just close that down. And create side 3 will just open up. We'll go find the file. We should get a preview when we do this, so let's have a look. There it is. And that's the one we want, the plain one. Click open. and select the bottom faces again, and right mouse click, assign material to selection. So we've got another one on the bottom, so it's looking okay in there. And the last one, this one in here, well, we can use planar mapping again, because it's in the right direction. And we're going to go and select create side 3, and we're going to duplicate the shading network. There we go. And we're going to select those and drag drop these on. Let's do this one as well. And make sure we change this one's image to the final one, which is the one with the ammunition on. Okay, so there's our ammunition crate, looking brilliant. Now, we have been left with a load of blank edges, as you can see. Now these, I'm going to create one shader, which will be this shader on the bottom. In fact, we'll just use this shader on the bottom. So this was shader, we have a look at this one. This one is, if we look, this one is shader 4, side 3. Let's just focus on that one. And what we're going to do is we're going to select all of these faces. We're going to do this by just simply going right mouse click over Lambert 1 and select objects with the initial shading group. There you go. It selected them all for us. And then we're going to duplicate. Let's duplicate this one. Let's create this one as a separate. So then we can always separate out the bottom one as well. So let's do this first. Duplicate shading network. And let's select all those objects with the initial shading group and let's assign those to this one. Okay. Now we could just leave them looking a little bit like that, and you'll see some games sometimes artists are a little bit lazy. If we were going to be using this quite a lot, so maybe this crate's going to be used all over, it might be an idea to spend a bit of time on this. So what we're going to do is I'm going to select these two edges here, just these two, and I'm going to go create UVs, planar mapping, and I'm going to use the Z direction, click apply, there we go, and we're going to go to the UV map, UV texture editor, and you can see these have been projected all the way across. So let's have a look at this and let's have a look how it looks. Yep, you can see that it's being stretched out, and what we want to do is grab these arrows and just choose to scale them in and scale them down. Okay, and then rotate them. Maybe not that way. Maybe we're right that way around. Maybe we've scaled them the wrong way there. So let's do it again. Let's go to those UV maps. Scale them out that way. Scale them down this way, and that's it. And rotate them that side. Okay. So what that does is that allows me to put this over these edges here. And there we go. So we've now got those same nail holes being added to these as well. And we do that all the way around until we've finished with our crate. So let's go around here. Let's go down to create UVs. These want to go in the X direction. And again, we can start to scale those. I'll do them this way. Scale them all the way down. Rotate them round. And then reposition them over the top of those nail holes, and we should have them in the right sort of place. Now we'd probably only do that for the ones we could actually see, so that'd be each one of these sides. Wouldn't really bother with it for the bottom unless this crate was going to be used as some sort of dynamic object inside the game.